Welcome to Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information related to your Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm your host, Cole Denis. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. To save today, but let's get rolling. Week 1 concluded last night. And throughout the first 16 games of the season, the best quarterback in the league, passer rating, sound wise, is the old man himself, Aaron Rodgers, the 40-year-old, the 41-year-old. He is the best quarterback in the league through 1 week so far. And who is surprised? Everyone in Pittsburgh is surprised of this outcome. If you told me, I think 3 weeks ago, a week ago, 4 days ago, that Aaron Rodgers was going to have the best week for any quarterback in the league this week, passer rating wise, I would be like, "You're pretty crazy. There's no way. Instead of offense, doing something again." Well, turned out the offense was more locked in, and the defense never was because the defense really struggled against a terrible Jets team. Once again, Aaron Rodgers was clearly the biggest winner after week 1 for any of these two teams, the Steelers or the Jets, definitely the Steelers. He went into the game with probably the most to prove, and he did not disappoint a single Steeler fan, and he probably disappointed a lot of Jets fans. Once again, one more time, he said, "One more for the road. I'm going to disappoint you. We're going to leave you with one more out." He delivered a lot last year. I think they were 5-12. This year, he said, "Let's start you off at 0-1. Won't give you 12, but I'm going to give you at least one." Uh, Two of the TDs for Rodgers, two of the things that surprised me the most is that Arthur Smith was able to somehow summon the old vintage Aaron Rodgers of the past with some of the play calling. Bootlegs honestly looked really good for Aaron Rodgers. You didn't think the mobility was still going to be there. The mobility still lackluster. Cannon, the ability to throw the ball off a bad platform is still really impressive for a player like Rodgers. So after week 1, I'd have to say I'm feeling probably 75% more confident about this team than in the rest of the year. Let's talk about some big performers, though, from Sunday's game that we didn't mention in yesterday's coverage video. Ben Steronik and Kenny G, the sleeper heroes of the game. If you weren't paying too much attention, they were probably the reason the Steelers came out with the win in this one because they combined for that fumble and fumble recovery on the kickoff return. Really turned the game around when we were down 26-24, I believe, at the time. Kenny G pokes the ball loose. Ben Steronik hops on it. It was all over there. But these two really had solid games. First off, Steronik opened the season with the first touchdown of the year for the Steelers. Once again, a guy, if you told me was going to score the first touchdown for the Steelers this year, I would have been like, that's absurd. Why would you bet Steronik touchdowns? There he goes. First touchdown of the season on bootleg. The same play Calvin Austin had it after the fumble with the Steronik touchdown early. Then Kenny G shockingly has way more of a role than I thought he was going to have in the Steelers offense. I thought it was going to go to Caleb Johnson a lot faster. Seems like Kenny G's going to be more of the backup guy, more of the passing downs guy. 7 carries along with that forced fumble on special team. Now, did he do much with those 7 carries? Absolutely not. Didn't go over 20 yards with those 7 carries. It was kind of a struggle. It was like 2.3 yards per carry for Kenny G in this game. These two really did show football is a full team effort. It's going to take all 53 men, and these were two of the standouts from the 53-man roster. Week 1, I mean, Steronik, huge touchdown early, huge fumble recovery. Kenny G, you don't expect your running backs force fumbles, but he's out there on special teams, and he's still making plays. He's showing you what a true football player, a true athlete is all about. Let's move on to next week's matchup, though. Let's start looking past the Jets. We've celebrated enough now. Let's start focusing in on Seattle as they will be coming to town this Sunday. The playoffs at 1 p.m. They're coming off of a 17-13 loss to the 49ers. James Arnold really didn't look too well for the Seahawks in his first game there. Things opened up a little bit at the end of the game with him and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, and Jigba really screwed me over fantasy wise, but besides that, Seattle didn't have much going on in through the air or on the ground. We know what they're gonna do. They're gonna be like the Jets again last week. They're gonna try to hand the ball off to their running back Kenneth Walker. They're gonna try to get the Ohio State wide receiver involved in Jackson Smith and Jigba. Very similar game plan. Can the Steelers actually execute this time? We'll have to wait and see. But the good news that Seattle had last week was that defense was pretty solid with only holding the Niners to 17 points, a team that could be somewhat explosive if everyone's healthy. So it's something we got to look out for. But the Jets were supposed to have, they were a top 10 defense last year. The Steelers went in there, dropped 34 on their head. You never know. With Seattle coming to town, a little jet lag, a little too long of a flight, can't get their feet under them. Steelers could end up rolling this one. I think, once again, it's going to be a good early matchup for the Steelers. It's a too hard here. Not one of the better teams in the league, in my opinion. They're, as I would say, pretty in the middle, probably from 14th to 18th ranks. They're one of those teams in that little section of 32. This is going to get us in the swing of things still. We're still warming things up, warming things up. We got Rodgers. We got an old team on the defensive line and at quarterback. I think this is another way to start building momentum, stacking wins early. One, we're facing teams like the Jets, Seattle, and then we got New England and Minnesota next week. All four of those teams weren't impressive in their last in week one. So feeling good about 4-0. And it starts here once again with Seattle pushing them 2-0 this weekend. Let's talk about the key matchup going into this one. I want to focus on the trenches because the Steelers got dominated by the Jets last week to start the game. Really didn't fix it throughout the game either until the last couple drives defensively, but was able to shut down the Jets late. It's good. The bad news is, I don't think if Seattle gets off to such a hot start, we have the talent or that Seattle has the lack of talent to blow a late game lead like the Jets did to us last week. I think if Seattle punches us in the face like the Jets did early last week, it's going to be hard to dig out of that hole. I know we have our veteran quarterback that we're going to all believe can dig us out of any hole, but don't think if we get bullied early, it's going to go well this week. Start firing once again instead of being the ones to receive the first punch and counter punch. Let's be the ones that punch first because I don't like counter punching in the NFL. You got to be the one to strike first, or else the momentum is going to leave you early and often. So let's go out there this week. Let's dominate both offensive and defensive trenches because I was disappointed in both the run game last week and the run game defensively last week as we allowed close to 200 yards. It's unacceptable when you know a team's going to mainly run the ball against you. So let's strap in, focus in on all that stuff. But that has been it for Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Denis, and I'll see you tomorrow.